Winter weather sticking around, turning Texoma roads into slip and slides all day today.
Our crews preparing for the worst, as even more ice is expected to come down across the region.
And a look at the warming centers opening across Texoma tonight, where you can go if you need to get out of the cold. News 12 at 6 starts right now.
Live from 12 Studios, this is News 12 at 6.
Good evening and welcome to News 12 at 6.
You're Brenda Teele.
I am Brenda Teele.
That's what the teleprompter said. I just need to be reminded.
I'm glad you reminded me.
My brain is freezing like everything else. The winter storm warning has been extended through Thursday morning. Temperatures running colder, so the ice is going to last longer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think my brain is frozen right now. So what does that mean for tonight? Steve, I know that you said this third round is going to be a doozy.
It really is. In fact, one of my friends messaged me a while ago. I think this says it all. Steve, can we return this weather to its sender, please? I said, only Elvis can do that. But in any case, here's what we have on our TMC time lapse. Now, I want to point out that some of the main roads are decently drivable right now. The problem is, A, they're starting to refreeze now that the sun is setting, and B, the side roads, the secondary roads that you must take to get to the main roads, they're in just terrible shape pretty much across the board. Now, Max Radar does show a large area of very light freezing precipitation, mostly freezing drizzle that has redeveloped across the region. That's just going to make those roads, primary or secondary, that much worse. So really, unless you have to absolutely be out tonight, we would encourage you to not do that. Another big batch of freezing rain and drizzle coming up from the Metroplex later on tonight. So we'll kind of have these little ripples coming through the atmosphere, each of them depositing fairly light amounts, but even a teeny tiny amount of ice, as you know, can cause a huge problem. So temperatures are in the freezer tonight. Everybody right around 23 to 25 degrees, and those numbers really won't change right through morning. Winter storm warning has been extended because the cold air is lasting longer till Thursday morning now. Now here's the problem. Now again tonight, just some scattered light freezing precip that will come and go, making roads that much more treacherous, but watch the bottom of the screen. Tomorrow morning, we start to see a big area of freezing rain. We could see enough to cause some issues with trees and power lines, and definitely this will be the worst of the travel from, let's say, mid-morning tomorrow through much of the day Wednesday. If you thought it was slippery today, well, just wait, and more on what's ahead beyond that when I come back.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
We think, thank you. Travel has been difficult, if not impossible today, Brenda. We have team coverage tonight in Sherman and Ardmore.
Yeah, Caroline Cluess is in Ardmore, but we also have Lauren Rangel. She's in Sherman. She's been keeping an eye on the roads there all day. So, Lauren, what are you seeing out there tonight?
Yeah, Brenda and Jeff, earlier this afternoon, we saw quite a few cars trying to tackle this stretch of Highway 75, particularly for these conditions. And while we were driving, trying to get video today, we noticed that all those cars were starting to melt that ice, turn it into slush. Just within the last hour, we have seen traffic kind of start to slow down, and one of the things police say that they're worried about or keeping their eyes on is all that slush may actually turn to ice overnight, and that could keep them extra busy. Sherman police say it's seen about 30 accidents caused by this ice, and even more motorist assist calls. Last we heard was about 40. Denison police say they too are seeing accidents, but most of their calls are related to people getting stuck on the ice and needing help gaining traction. I've seen dozens of TxDOT trucks today treating major roadways, including Highway 75, but it tells me conditions are deteriorating in Grayson, Hunt, and Fannin counties. The department says it tried to get out ahead of the storm by beginning to treat the roads over the weekend, and it will continue to do so as needed during the storm. Still, first responders are encouraging residents to stay off the roads if they can.
If you don't have a reason to go out, I'd stay in. I mean, schools are shut down right now. And for the most part, I think people are abiding by that. But we realize that there are some folks that have to get out. But when you do, we just ask that you go slow.
Well, Chief Godrell adds that if you are one of those people that do have to get out tonight or tomorrow, remember that speed is not your friend, and you want to make sure that you're keeping enough distance between you and other vehicles. And I'll tell you, even just trying to drive to work this morning, I ended up getting stuck on a hill off of FM 691 and Texoma Parkway. A truck in front of me passed me, went up. I saw him start to skid and then get stuck. I got stuck at the bottom and had to reverse my way around to get onto Highway 75 that had already a lot more traction because it had seen those drivers and salt trucks. But conditions are slowly just getting a little bit worse by the hour. Caroline, how are things looking for you on the other side of the Red River tonight?
Hey Lauren, I'm here in Ardmore just outside of our bureau here, and just beyond this field right here on I-35 is where ODOT says the worst conditions are, some of the worst in Oklahoma. They're calling it extremely slick and dangerous. So we took some footage of that area on our tower cam today. So let's start out with a clip of what not to do. So rule number 1 is, of course, to slow down. And as you see, not everyone is doing that, so you should stay home if you don't need to get out. If you do, try and plan out your route ahead of time. Make sure you have a full tank of gas before you get too far from home. Ardmore police say they've worked 5 crashes in the past 24 hours. Now they're operating under whiteout conditions, meaning they aren't responding to minor crashes, but OHP will, so if you get stuck, you can call them and they will come and get you. ODOT recommends running the heat for 10 minutes every hour to conserve gas and keep yourself warm. But let's make sure you don't get stuck, okay? You can check out road conditions on okroads.org. That database shows how bad the roads are across the state, and it even includes some pictures that people have uploaded of the roads too. Here in Ardmore, the local homeless shelter, the Grace Center, has been full all day long. They brought out cots last night to house more people, and they're expecting a full house tonight too. They will stay open both day and night until the freezing temperatures are gone. And as I mentioned earlier, OHP is remembering Trooper Nicholas Dees today. He was killed 8 years ago today by a driver who was texting instead of looking at the road. So they're asking you to stay off of your phone in his memory today. And it's always a bad idea to be on your phone when you're driving, right? But especially right now when it's icy and you really need that extra seconds to be able to brake if you need to. So let's keep your phone put away and let's stay home if you can. Live in Ardmore, Caroline Cluis, News 12.
All right, thank you, Caroline. You can see her hands just shaking out there. It's quite cold, so please stay indoors if you can. So far, the power outages have been minimal, which is very good news. But electric crews are bracing for what's next, and that's another round of freezing precipitation.
Yeah, as emergency crews hope for the best, they are indeed planning for the worst. News 12's Hannah Gonzalez looks at how Texas and Oklahoma electrical companies are getting ready for round 3 of the icy storm.
Tuesday night, electric companies are on standby in case these lines break.
We positioned materials and resources in our service area, including in southern Oklahoma and areas around Ada and Ardmore and Durant. We have hundreds of personnel on standby all through our service area to respond if any power outages should occur.
Not only are emergency crews in Oklahoma ready, but so are Texas crews.
A lot of that depends on the severity and the thickness. A little ice, we don't worry about. If you get 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch, like I've seen on some of the weather services, it weights down the line, which could break a pole.
David McGinnis from the Grayson Collin Electric Cooperative says nearby trees are also at risk.
More likely, it's a tree limb that is taller than the 15 foot that we're allowed to trim that breaks, especially after a drought year. The trees are weaker, and so a lot of ice will weight them down and cause them to fall.
Oklahoma Gas and Electric says they maintain nearby vegetation year-round, as well as a winter weather prep.
We make winter preparations well before the first freezing temperatures arrive. And this year, all those weatherization was done by November.
McGinnis says line repairs shouldn't take too long to restore, but getting to the down lines will be the holdup.
Small branch, 15 or 20 minutes once the crews get there. A big tree that takes down and breaks several poles could be into the hours.
Reporting Hannah Gonzalez, News 12.
And electric companies say that there are precautions that you can take in the event that you do lose power, such as making sure that your devices are all charged, that you have extra blankets and jackets, and that your gas tank is full. Also, they encourage you to check on family and friends who are homebound. But with the threat of power outages lurking around the corner, warming shelters can be life-saving resources where you can go if you're stuck in the cold.
And let's take a look now from our Holiday Inn Ardmore Tower Cam. Traffic moving on the main roads. Tougher go on city streets, as we've been saying. Steve says the ice will get worse before it gets better. He's got your futurecast when we come back. You're watching News 12 at 6 on this, the final day of January.
If you do find yourself tonight without power, or if you just need a place to stay warm, warming centers are open.
Such a blessing. News 12's Kayla Holt has more about where folks can stay warm over the next few days.
We will be available as long as needed, as long as we can. We will be available for people to spend the night.
With temperatures expected to be below freezing until Thursday, some Texoma residents may be in need of a place to stay warm, and organizations across Texoma are stepping up to help those in need.
We are allowing people that have no other place to go to stay in the sanctuary overnight. And we serve an evening meal, or lunch and an evening meal. And in the morning, the people go to the soup kitchen, which is 2 blocks west of us, for breakfast.
Located at 801 West Owing Street in Denison, Light Fellowship Church says they will be open for anyone seeking shelter.
Our rules are that we will be open if the weather is 32 or below at sunset.
The Salvation Army on Texoma Parkway is another organization extending its services to ensure no one is left hungry or without a place to stay warm.
We've made the call. We're going to open up 24 hours a day. We have our shelter staff there on staff. We're feeding breakfast, lunch, dinner, keeping everybody warm, watching TV, and just giving everybody a place to go to get out of this weather.
There are more warming shelters open in Grayson County and on the other side of the Red River if you or someone you know need a place to stay warm during this winter storm. For a list of all warming centers open across Texoma, check this story on our website, kxii.com, or the free KXII News app. In Sherman, Kayla Holt, News 12.
Well, if only this was the way things were going. This is actually an exception, not the rule. A little sliver of sun. Jeff mentioned that a moment ago here on our live Holiday Inn Ardmore Tower Cam. And just a brief break in the clouds, a little bit of dry air had caused the precip today to kind of wane, but it's picking back up already, and we expect it to get a whole lot worse, folks. This is definitely going to be one that I would say just stay off the roads unless it's an emergency tomorrow. It's going to be really rough out there. So what's happening is the potential for ice is increasing overnight with freezing drizzle tonight, really getting rough as heavier freezing rain moves in the morning, and the roads are definitely on the chalkboard to get worse, way worse before they get better. And you can see we're not the only ones. Huge area of winter storm warning. That's the pink color here for much of Texas and into southern Oklahoma. We also have that winter storm warning, including all of our counties in the News 12 viewing area. Now, yesterday we talked about this going until noon on Wednesday. Well, because the air is running colder and the whole system is moving more slowly, we now have that winter storm warning extended until 6 a.m. Thursday. So even tomorrow night, there's a chance we'll have to deal with more frozen precip. But if you can take the long view, Thursday and Friday, things will start to improve. Now, tonight, Max Radar is showing a large area of light freezing drizzle that has developed over the last couple of hours from Sherman and Pottsboro northeast to Hugo and Antlers. Nothing heavy here, but just enough to cause that very fine additional glaze of ice. So some of the roads did melt off today, but tonight those bridges are already starting to ice up. And again, even on the big roads, things are going to be getting tough, and boy, tomorrow especially. Now, off to the south and west, another large area of freezing drizzle and some embedded heavier freezing rain. That's also, as you can see, moving in our general direction. So overnight, several of these periods of frozen precip will continue, and boy, it's cold. Now, thankfully, the wind has eased a little bit. Even a 10-mile-per-hour wind that really cuts through you with these temperatures that are in the mid-20s. Everybody kind of in the same boat here. 26 Paris to 25 Sherman and Denison. Good evening in Medill. You're 25 degrees, 23 in Antlers and Clayton and Ada with some snow on the ground there. You're 23 degrees right now. And you can see on the big view, I showed you this last night, just really a very impressive picture with the high pressure over the Gulf, low pressure off the west coast of California, and like 2 gears and a big transmission in between there. It's just grinding that moisture right up through Texoma, and there's the big disturbance. This is really the cat's meow, if you will, on this whole winter storm. So this evening, again, light frozen precip will continue on and off, shown by the purple and the blue here. We'll start to see it really increasing, though, about sunrise, and watch the bottom of your screen as the main slug of energy comes in with increasing freezing rain here, and a lot of this is going to be definitely accumulating on trees and power lines, something to be very concerned about tomorrow. Right now, we're not under an ice storm warning, but it's going to be borderline, something we'll have to just kind of follow as we get into tomorrow. One thing's for sure, it's cold enough in the morning for everything to stick, and the big question will be, how long will it stay below freezing? Latest models aren't offering a lot of hope here, showing high temperatures generally staying under 32 degrees. If that happens, that would just really make that ice potential a lot worse. I do think by Thursday, though, we're at least in the upper 30s. Now, here's a brand new map just updated here on potential ice totals. So anywhere in the darker shading, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of ice accumulation. Now, that would be not only on roads, but on trees and power lines as possible. 1/2 inch would be borderline for a major ice storm, but still generally underneath what I would call a major event, definitely a moderate event. Some tree limbs could break off. There could be some scattered power failures if this happens. In the 1/4 inch ice area, more just really serious travel problems and less damage. So how does all this compare to 2 years ago? Well, the cold is definitely less. We set all-time record colds 2 years ago. The hours below freezing continuously is less. Electric problems, we hope, will be a lot less. I mean, last time it was just an absolute disaster, at least on the Texas side. But here's the big difference. The travel issues this time much worse than they were in the snow of 2 years ago. So bear that in mind. And we're just getting started really on the travel problems. Freezing drizzle and freezing rain overnight, 24 degrees. The big event as far as the heaviest precip and the most ice happens tomorrow from about 8 in the morning till mid-afternoon. Now things do warm up. Look at this, 55 degrees by Saturday. So there's that to look forward to. And we'll be right back.
Now, your award-winning local sports coverage. Here's David Reed.
Mike McCarthy was considered to be on thin ice going into the season, but after a 12-5 year and at least one playoff win, it appears that he did enough to hang around, even though the Cowboys are dumping about half the assistant coaching staff. Dallas has long been linked to Sean Payton, but now he is off the board. The Denver Broncos reach a deal with Sean Payton to make him their next head coach. It's going to cost him, though, since he is still under contract with New Orleans. The Broncos must send the 29th overall pick to the Saints, plus their 2024 second rounder. In return, Denver gets the Saints' third-round pick in 2024 and, of course, the coach. The Broncos were already without their own number 1 pick after dealing it to Seattle last year in the Russell Wilson trade. Big 12 football schedule is out, and man, does it look different than in years past. Houston, BYU, UCF, and Cincinnati have joined the league, but not everybody will play everybody, and the key rivalries have been protected. The Sooners will play Texas and Oklahoma State. The Texas schools will all play each other: Baylor, TCU, Texas, Texas Tech, and Houston. Mavericks trade talks continue to heat up as they try to find Luka some help before the February 9th deadline, but last night he didn't need a whole lot of help. He went for 53 points against the Pistons, and he did it very efficiently. 17 out of 24 from the field. He only played 36 minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie is the only other Maverick in double digits with 12 points. The Mavericks won 111-105. And we'll be right back.
Welcome back to News 12 at 6. So here's Max radar, and I just went outside to check because sometimes it's good to verify what the radar is showing with what's actually going on outside. And there are some pockets of light freezing mist out there. Nothing heavy, but just that much more to aggravate the situation that's already not good across Texoma. Now, another big blob, I showed you that earlier, is coming up from the southwest later on tonight. And Futurecast Super High Res is showing the activity we have now. And again, we'll see a gradual increase in this misty, drizzly stuff overnight. But the big problem comes in tomorrow morning as you watch the bottom of the screen here, and a big wave of freezing rain comes up. The question is going to be, how fast will this freezing rain change to rain? I think not fast enough. Some forecasting a quarter to a half inch of ice accumulation. We're talking not only on your car or truck, but on the roads and unfortunately on trees and power lines. This will be needed monitored very closely. At this point in time, we think it's a moderate ice event, but it could go either way on this, folks. There's your 7-day forecast. Warmer skies ahead for Friday and Saturday.
Thanks for watching News 12 at 6.
See you back.